He was the voice of God who fronted two of the biggest bands in progressive rock history, but Greg Lake's most enduring hit wasn't a complex symphonic masterpiece. It was a simple folk ballad he wrote when he was just 12 years old that his bandmate Keith Emerson hated so much he only agreed to play on it if he could record a silly synthesizer solo at the end to ruin the song. When ELP was recording their debut album, they were one song short. Greg Lake suggested a ballad he had written as a child called Lucky Man. Keith Emerson, a classically trained keyboardist, despised the song, calling it boring cowboy music. He refused to play piano on it. At the very end of the recording session, Emerson walked over to his massive Moog synthesizer and improvised a wild, buzzing solo in one take, intending to make it sound weird and out of place. Ironically, that joke solo became one of the most famous synthesizer performances in rock history and made the song a massive hit. It seems like destiny that Greg Lake and Robert Fripp would form King Crimson together. They both grew up in Dorset, England, and attended lessons with the same guitar teacher, an old banjo player named Don Strike. Strike was a strict disciplinarian who taught them both complex classical exercises, Paganini violin concertos played on guitar. This shared, rigorous training is why the two of them could play such incredibly fast, synchronized unison lines on 21st Century Schizoid Man. When the original lineup of King Crimson imploded in 1969 during their US tour, Greg Lake agreed to stay on just long enough to sing on their second album, In the Wake of Poseidon. However, he had a condition. He demanded that Robert Fripp give him the band's massive PA system as payment. Fripp agreed. Lake then took that PA system and used it to launch his new supergroup, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, giving them the best live sound in the business right from their very first gig. Greg Lake's solo hit, I Believe in Father Christmas, is often played in malls as a cheerful holiday tune. However, Lake wrote it as a bitter protest against the commercialization of the holiday. The lyrics, "They sold me a dream of Christmas, they sold me a silent night," were a direct attack on how the season had become about money rather than peace. The video was shot in the Sinai Desert and the Dead Sea to emphasize the stark religious origins rather than the snowy gift-giving imagery. In 1983, John Wetton, the bassist and singer for the supergroup Asia, was fired just weeks before a massive globally televised concert at the Budokan in Tokyo, Asia in Asia.